Today on the Point Blank Performance YouTube channel, we're doing something different. You guys just got to see, we got a 2019 F350 dually on the rack. Why? Well, it's here for one of our F3 HP package. Been following along, we just finished up with Shannon's. Check out that link here. He went from an F3 that made 607 horse to a, we'll check out the video, F4 HP package. How do we do that? We put a big single turbocharger on there and added fuel, pump the brakes. This F3 package is gonna be different. We're gonna hold the fuel and we're gonna add air. So our goal is this: make 700 horsepower out of a 19 F350 dually, have the ultimate driving ability machine out there, still maintain the factory exhaust brake, but keep the factory turbocharger on there. How do you do that? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're gonna compound a 2019 F350 dually. Let's check out that turbocharger. So the factory turbocharger that comes equipped on these trucks makes excellent power, but the drivability is something that is superb to none. This truck, how do you maximize it? How do you make it even better? We run out of power around 590 rural horsepower, so we have to go with a different turbocharger, right? No, you can compound it. That's what we're looking at here. A second turbocharger that we'll refer to as Big Brother that helps out Little Brother, your factory turbocharger. The factory turbo brings in air here, brings it in through the compressor wheel, spins it. That air is hot. You gotta cool it down. It's your hot side intercooler pipe, runs through your charged air cooler, comes out, and then feeds right in through here as cool air and dives inside the motor. This system is proven and it works. We wanna maximize it. I just told you we can't make hardly over 590 rural horsepower. Our limitation factor is air. So Big Brother comes into play. It's a 76 millimeter compound turbocharger. This thing is rated at 1,000 rural horsepower. It will literally force air into the factory turbocharger. To make it easy for you, this is the exhaust that comes out of the factory unit. Feeds into the exhaust housing of Big Brother. It's a 96 millimeter turbine wheel. The dude is huge, so it's literally grabbing air from the factory unit, spooling it. So that way our drive pressure doesn't go up. Drive pressure is just pressure holding it back. It's pulling it. When it does, it compresses it here. That's a 76 millimeter wheel. It's grabbing all the air possible from outside, and guess what it's doing? It's telling Little Brother, we're gonna climb this mountain. It's putting all the air straight inside here that it can do, maximizing its efficiency. It would never be able to do that if we did not have the primary turbocharger here, forcing air into the factory unit. Drivability off the charts. It's been a couple days on our F3 HP package. We got the big turbocharger set, got the front cover on. Why? Because we welded up the crank gear, got some of the piping laid out on this truck. Now here's the big kicker. Why in the world do we have the transmission out of the truck and the upper oil pan when we're just doing a front cover? Well, it's because of this. When you set the front cover, there's some O-rings at the bottom. There's no way to get them seated unless you remove the upper oil pan. Well, to get the upper oil pan, if you're a Ford owner, you probably already know this, you gotta remove the transmission because the transmission at the bottom attaches to the bottom oil pan. Fun ordeal, let me tell you. So guys, there's a couple things about this kit that we wanted to stop and show you. Whenever you're doing a compound system, that turbocharger has an oil drain. It's got to drain freely into something. There can't be any kind of pressure. If so, you could have a turbocharger failure. Well, I reached out to Jacob and I said, hey, I'd like to run one of these real fancy billet oil pans on these trucks. They look cool as hell. We even want to make one. His suggestion was this: you can run it into an oil pan. He's not done the testing to know if the oil level is above or below the drain. He said when you pull the pan, drill it out the correct way how I want you to, you won't have any issues. So guys, here's a question. Where are you going to drill your hole? So we chose to put the oil drain right beside the oil filter housing that sits here. It's a perfect spot for it, so that way when it drains right into the upper oil pan, has no resistance, and then dumps into the lower oil pan. So you've got to comprehend this. You have to have a drain for your turbocharger. Why? Because your new turbocharger on the truck gets fed oil. Through the top of it, it runs through all the bearings, keeps everything cool. Now that's waste oil. You've got to drain it somewhere. So you drain it here. That way you don't have any resistance. It goes through this 1/2 inch hole, dumps straight into the pan, and you're making power. If you plug up this hole, it's just like a septic system. If you plug it up and the turbocharger goes to drain in camp, you're going to have bearing failures. You could have a turbocharger that fails. If so, it's going to be several $1,000s. So if you have another way that you've drained your system and keep having turbocharger failures, you may look into that. We're not looking to have that. That's the reason why we chose to put our hole here. Now, one recommendation is this. You don't have to, but anytime you're doing this system, remove this lower oil pan. A couple bolts, you need to do an oil change in your truck anyways. When you're drilling this hole, you're going to get some metal shavings into that oil. It's going to happen. Remove that pan. You can see straight up in there. Drill that hole through the side. You can clean everything out. You're making power. So guys, our next step is we're going to get this oil pan stripped, cleaned up, ready to go on the truck, and lay some more piping. Guys, taking a look at the graph, the dually just laid down with our F3 HP package, 650 rear-wheel horsepower and 1,189 foot-pounds of torque. Now guys, you ask, we went over to Steve Morgan's shop, why? Because it's a dually. I wanted to see what our package produces with all 4 tires hitting the roller, not 2 tires. 650 rear-wheel horsepower. Super impressed with this. It's a compound, it's a Strucker CP4, and a piping kit, 650 rear-wheel horsepower, end of story. Now, a couple weeks ago, check out the video here, we had an F3 HP package on the channel, and it only laid down 607. Why and how is that possible? So guys, both trucks feature our F3 HP package. Both trucks have a Strucker CP4 pump. Both trucks have stock injectors. But the difference is this. This has another turbocharger on top of the factory one, where this one only has a single. If we bump up that pulse width, we made 607 here, but we took the same amount of fuel and we did 650 here. How is that? Well, we bump up the amount of fuel that we give this truck right here to compete with this one, it's gonna be smoky, and that's a sore eye to the public, right? We want these trucks to be as clean as possible. That's the reason why this F3 package will dominate over this one in certain areas. Overall power with a certain amount of fuel, or the same amount of fuel in this instance. If you wanted to keep your exhaust brake, this truck still has it. And the last thing is ultimate drivability. You give it fuel, this truck has another turbocharger to eat it up down low and to produce big power all the way up top. You can check out the graph, all the way to 3,600 RPMs. This dude pulls down low and just keeps running with the power. So our main goal was this, compare the F3 HP package, see which one delivered the most horsepower with the factory injectors. The compound truck wins it. Guys, straight up, same amount of fuel, delivers 650 real horsepower, Keep in mind, we did this pull with 4 tires, not 2. If we took it down to 2, it would make more horsepower. End of story. If you're the client, you called in, said, hey, I love my factory turbochargers, but I want to put another one on top of it, or I just want the ultimate driving experience. The compound, hands down, drives awesome. It pulls super hard. So guys, compound turbo it is for today. But we're finished with Kyle's. We're moving on to Shannon's. We've got the F3 HP package removed. We're upgrading to our F4 HP package. Gonna let this dude eat and we're gonna push it. We wanna see some big power out of it. Any questions or comments about today's build, make for sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We see you back here next week at Point Blank Performance.